بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على نبينا محمد وأهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجهم. So we left off talking about the rights of brotherhood, and we were discussing about the right of attending the funeral after their death and being there while they are in their final moments. And we were talking about preparing for death. And we said that we are preparing ourselves in this life for our exams. For example, whether someone needs to pass medical exam, the bar exam for a lawyer, or their college exams, high school exams, all of these things, we are always preparing for tests and exams when we are in school or for our job or trying to get a promotion. But what happened about preparing ourselves for the biggest test of all, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, الذي خلق الموت والحياة ليبلوكم أيكم أحسن عملا وهو العزيز الغفور. He who created life and death to test you as to which of you is the best in deeds, and he is the exalted in might and the forgiving. So we have the biggest test of all, but most people in this world are oblivious of this test and they don't do anything to prepare for that test. And our belief and our actions will be tested. So we should strive to work on them to the best of our abilities by learning and implementing the teachings of those that Allah sent here to guide us, which is Muhammad and Ali Muhammad alayhi salam. It said that if you, in the grave, about in the life of the grave or the test of the grave, he said, if you are faithful and knowledgeable of your religion, loyal to the truthful and following Allah's disciples, Allah will prompt you to provide an acceptable confirmation when the angels question you, who is your Lord, who is your prophet, who is your imam, what is your religion, what is your book, so on and so forth, and will make you speak accurately so that you will say the correct answer and you will be foretold of gaining paradise and Allah's consent, and the angels will receive you with comfort and with happiness. However, if you are not, your tongue will stammer, you will start to stutter, your proof will be rejected, you will be unable to answer, and hell will be advanced towards you, and the angels will receive you with the anguish of the dwelling of boiling water and the heat of the fire. There's an example of a young man who was on his deathbed when Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam came and sat near him, and he told him to recite Shahadatain. But this young man, he couldn't do it. He tried, but he couldn't. And Rasulullah asked if his mother was present. So a woman that was sitting near his head said, "Yes, I am his mother." The Prophet said, "Are you upset with him?" She said, "Yes, O Prophet, we haven't spoke to each other for the last 6 years." So Rasulullah asked this woman to forgive her son. And then at this, the Prophet's instance, she forgave his mistakes and everything was reconciled. At once, the young man was able to recite La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah, the Shahadatain. Rasulullah said, "What do you see at this moment?" He said, "O Prophet of Allah, a very dark and smelly man has got hold of me and he is not leaving me." Rasulullah told him to recite the following dua. He taught him a dua, and then he asked him, "Now what do you see?" He replied, "A man handsome and fragrant is moving towards me." Rasulullah said, "Keep saying this dua." When the youth repeated this dua, he said, "O Prophet of Allah, both of them have went away from me." After this, the face of the Prophet was illuminated with joy, and he said, "O Allah, forgive the sins of this young man." Then the youth, he passed away. So we see that some actions that we do in this world, like having bad relations with our family members, is something that will hinder us in the afterlife from saying Shahadatain. Also, we see that some people had a debt and they asked Rasulullah to bury them, but he wouldn't bury them until the debt was paid. There's some things that we need to take care of in this world and not take them lightly. We need to prepare ourselves because sometimes we think we need to be old to die, but we can die also very young. Death doesn't discriminate. It can come to us when we are small, when we are middle-aged, or when we are elderly. Amir al-Mu'mineen Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam, he said, if you could only see what happens during and after death, you would give up all worldly aspirations and its tricky attractions. We see Imam Ali alayhi salam, he divorced this dunya 3 times. So I don't want anything to do with this dunya. So we have to ask Allah, we have to say, Allahumma ukhraj hubba dunya min qalbi. Oh Allah, remove the love of this dunya from our hearts. And we should focus on ourselves, work on, implementing these teachings of Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam when we read them, and ask Allah to allow us to be able to follow them and implement their teachings in our life. We should want to stay, in this world in order to use it as a place to earn rewards for the life to come. And we should always pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to have a good ending, because this is very important, to have a good ending. How many people have we seen in history who started out good, but then they ended badly? For example, Shimr, the one who killed Imam Hussein alayhi salam. He used to be a Quran reciter, and he used to be a companion of Imam Ali alayhi salam. But then later, and he actually fought alongside Amir al-Mu'mineen, I believe, in the Battle of Siffin. And then he turned against him later on. And then he later went on to behead Imam Hussein alayhi salam. So he started out good, ended badly. And how many people have we seen that started out bad but ended good? For example, Hur bin Yazid al-Riyahi, who captured Imam Hussein alayhi salam and his family and held them there in Karbala. Yet he repented and he joined the Imam while defending him until his last breath. Fatima Zahra alayha salam, she said in her dua, she said, "Oh Allah, by your knowledge of the unseen and your power over creation, keep me alive so long as you know that life is good for me, and cause me to die when death is good for me." So we should ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for a good ending, to take our life while we are in a good standing with Allah. Maybe we could live longer, but then we are in a bad state. So we should always pray for our ending to be good. Imam Ali alayhi salam, he said, beware, you have been ordered insistently to march and been guided how to provide for the journey. So you are told to go on the journey and how to get to your destination. He said, surely the most frightening thing which I am afraid about you is to follow the desires and to widen the hopes. So now, basically, someone thinks he has a lot of time and he can repent later on. He doesn't need to do it now. He can do it later. Maybe I've told you before, but I had a friend like this that he said, I know all about Islam. I know how to pray, all of these things, but I'm young and I only know the streets, I want to be in the streets. And when I get we were like 20, so 40 was old for us, at that time. And I apologize for thinking someone's 40 is old back then, because I'm over 40 now and I don't feel old. So, but he said, when I get old and I'm 40, I'll go to the masjid and I'll get myself right and I'll do tawbah and, everything will be okay. Well, he went home and he got in the streets and he ended up dying like a year or so after he said that. So, a long life isn't promised to us. We have to get ourselves together now. Imam said, so now surely this world has turned its back and announced its departure, while the next world has appeared forward and proclaimed its approach. Today is the day of preparation, while tomorrow is the day of the race. The place to proceed is to paradise, while the place of doom is hellfire. Surely you are in the days of hopes, behind which stands hastening death. Whoever acts during the days of his hope before the approach of his death, his action would benefit him, and his action would not harm him. But he who fails to act during the period of hope before the approach of death, his action is a loss, and his death is harmful to him. Like Fir'aun, he had all the opportunities to follow Musa and Harun, but he didn't. And in the last moments, then he realized, that the God of Musa and Harun is the real God, but it didn't benefit him. There also, when we talk about our rights towards our brothers in their death, there are many things that we can do to help the deceased after their death. We can recite Surah Fatiha for them, for example. We can recite dua on their behalf. We can perform ziyarat on their behalf, umrah on their behalf, give sadaqah on their behalf, just to name a few things. And the reward of these things will reach them by the grace of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The son of the Marja, Sayyid Muhammad Taqi al-Mudarisi, he was telling me, we are talking often. He's living in New Zealand, very far away. And he told me that once he had a dream of his deceased sister, who was he saw her happy and she was eating a particular type of cake, and he found the dream very strange, and he called from his home in New Zealand to his cousins in Iran, and he asked about it, and they asked, what type of cake was she eating, and the Sayyid replied, it's such and such cake, it's very specific type of cake. And they said that last night they made a majlis in her honor, and that was the same cake that they served to all the guests in the majlis. So subhanallah, we see that the people, it just shows like in this dream that the person got the reward from whatever they gave to her. She is getting benefit from that. And believe, when you do something for your deceased relatives or friends, they receive reward for that. It alleviates them from some trials and tribulations, or they receive some sort of barakah or ni'mah or blessing for that. And besides our belief and our deeds, the thing that will help us the most is having the love of Muhammad and Ali Muhammad alayhi salam in our hearts, our minds, our actions, being loyal to them in this world, no matter what the cost is. There are a few narrations I'd like to mention about the time of the death of a believer, and it'll give our heart some relief. So the first one is that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "Take heed, pay attention." He says, "One who died having the love of the household of Muhammad has died as a shaheed, as a martyr. One who died with the love of the household of the Prophet has died exonerated and forgiven. One who died with the love of the Prophet has died having repented. One who died with the love of the household of the Prophet has died as a believer, having complete faith. Beware, pay attention. One who died along with the love of the children of the Prophet, firstly, the angel of death has given him the glad tidings about paradise. Thereafter, the two angels, Munkar and Nakir. One who died with the love of the household of the Prophet has been sent to paradise like the bride is sent to the house of the groom." So we see how this benefit that we will have, of loving Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam will come and help us in our time of need, the time of death, the time after death. And I remember another riwayat, it was speaking about that Amir al-Mu'mineen Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam will intercede for his Shia, because he says they suffered so much because of loving me that I want to intercede for them. So being a Shia is difficult. A lot of the world will turn against you. People will accuse you. People will call you all sort of things, kafir, all sort of things. I get these messages all the time, saying all sort of bad things, but it's for the love of Amir al-Mu'mineen Ali ibn Abi Talib. It doesn't matter. These people's opinions doesn't matter at all, as long as we know that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is pleased with us, and that we have the love of Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam, and our Imams will come and intercede for us, inshallah ta'ala. Also, Abi Basir, he said to Imam Sadiq alayhi salam, "May I be sacrificed for you." Does a believer hate the time of his death? Many people are afraid of death. They said, "I'm scared. I hate for that time to come. I don't want to face that situation." Imam replied, "Wallahi, no. At the time of his death will come the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam and his Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam, Amir al-Mu'mineen Ali ibn Abi Talib, Fatima Zahra, Hassan, Hussein, and all of the remaining Imams. Then the four angels, Jibra'il, Mikael, Israfil, and Israel, will all approach him on his deathbed. Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam will say, Ya Rasulullah, verily this person was one who loved us and he submitted to our walayat, our authority, so love him. Then Rasulullah said to Jibra'il, verily this person was one who loved Ali and his progeny, so love him. And then Jibra'il repeated the same to the other angels that were present. Then they all collectively said to the angel of death, Malakul Maut, verily, this person was one who loved Muhammad and his progeny and submitted to the walayat or authority of Ali, so be kind to him. Angel of death is snatching souls from people, very difficult. But they said, treat him kindly because he loved us and he submitted to the walayat of the imams. So Malakul Maut will say, by the one who chose and honored Muhammad with prophethood, I will be more kind to this person than a kind father is to his child, and more compassionate to him than a compassionate brother. Then Malakul Maut, the angel of death, stood up and said to the person, O servant of Allah, have you freed yourself from hellfire? The person confidently, with certainty, he said, yes. So the angel of death said, how are you able to do this? The person replied, by having the love of Muhammad and Ali Muhammad alayhi salam, and by the walayat of Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam and his progeny. The angel of death, he says, whatever it was that you were fearing, Allah has secured you from that. He has saved you from that. And whatever you hope for, Allah has given it to you. Open your eyes and look at what you have in the hereafter. He will open his eyes and see that all of the Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam who were there, and he will see a gate of Jannah opening for him. The angel of death will say, this is what Allah has promised you. These are your friends. Would you like to go with them, or would you like to return back to the dunya? You want to go back to the world? The person will say, I have no need for the world. I don't even want to return to it. Forget about it. And a caller from the Arsh, he will call out and he will say, O soul that has confidence in Muhammad, his successor Ali, and the Imams after him, return back to your Lord, pleased while you are satisfied with the walayat of Muhammad and Ali Muhammad, and you are pleased with the rewards. Then enter amongst my servants, Muhammad and Ali Muhammad, and enter into my paradise without any fears or worries. What beautiful narration. This is, if we are living our life the right way in this world, and we are following the Quran, we are following the path of Allah, we are following the example of Rasulullah and Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam, then this is what we look forward to in the hereafter, that on our most difficult moment, that the Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam will come and tell Malakul Maut, treat him kindly, he loved us, he submitted to our walayat, and inshallah that we will amongst this type of category of people. But it takes preparation and a lot of hard work in this world to fight against our lower desires and overcome, the obstacles that stand in our path. And we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to forgive all of our believing brothers and sisters who have already passed on, and we hope that our endings are on the path of Muhammad and Ali Muhammad alayhi salam. And this is very good dua to pray for all of those people who have passed away before us. And it's in Quran in Surah Hashr, Surah 59, Ayat 10. ربنا اغفر لنا ولإخواننا الذين سبقونا بالإيمان ولا تجعل في قلوبنا غلا للذين آمنوا ربنا إنك رؤوف رحيم. Says, O our Lord, forgive us and our brothers who preceded us in faith, and clear out our hearts of any ill will that we have against the believers. Lord, you are the most compassionate and the most merciful.